In today's video, we're going to talk about gas masks, why you might want to have a gas mask as part of your preparedness kit, and why instead of one of these, I think you would be better off with one of these. That's what's coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose, your home for trustworthy information and gear reviews related to camping, survival, and general preparedness for regular folks. My name's Brian. Thanks for joining me. So as I said in today's video, we're going to talk about gas masks. We're going to talk about why you might want to consider making some gas masks part of your emergency preparedness plan, and some things general things to think about and look for when you're purchasing a gas mask. And specifically, we're going to take a look at this MIRA Safety what is this? This is a CM-6M tactical gas mask from the folks at MIRA Safety. They were kind enough to send me this mask and some other stuff to show you, and to create a 10% discount code for the viewers of this channel. If you go to survivalonpurpose.com/mask and use the coupon code SOP10, you can save 10% on your purchase at MIRA Safety. So that's pretty cool too. So anyway, without further ado, let's just get going. First, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Why in the world would you need a gas mask if you're not some kind of wacko, doomsday prepper TV show person who thinks the world is going to end tomorrow? And that's a fair question. Here's the number one reason I can think of right now. There's two big reasons I can think of that are probably the most likely scenarios you might need a gas mask. And it may or may not apply to you, but if you work in a big city or you spend much time in a big city at all, right now, riots are going on everywhere. It seems like you never know when a riot is going to break out. And when that happens, then you've got law enforcement response, you've got tear gas, you've got rioters with pepper spray and different things. You just got a recipe for disaster. And if you're just minding your own business, trying to get home, you might have to go deal with that and get through some of that. So it might be a good thing to have in your vehicle or in your or maybe even in your get home bag, a gas mask, because you just never know what you're going to be faced with. And the other thing is potentially, and we're going to talk about this in a little more detail in just a minute, is potential if you're involved in a fire situation, smoke situation, where there's a lot of carbon monoxide around, whether that's in a home fire, a building fire, or if you're living out west, it could be, just a wildfire. There's a lot of wildfires going on right now, unfortunately. So those are the two most likely. There's also, obviously, if you work in an environment where you're exposed to toxic chemicals of any kind, whether it's pesticides or whether you're a painter or anything like that, it might be a good idea to have some sort of a respirator gas mask, and this is a good option for that too. It doesn't have to be all tactical. It can be just part of your work kit, right? And then probably less likely, but the possibility of some kind of terrorist attack or just craziness going on, mass hysteria, something like that. I'm not going to say zombie, but you know what I mean. Or some kind of major industrial accident. It could be something to protect you, because if you can't breathe the air in, you're not going to make it long, right? So anyway, that's some reasons you might want. I probably beat that horse completely dead. Now, we're just going to talk about some gas mask basics, and we're going to actually use, doing so, we're going to use this MIRA Safety, what is this thing called again? I keep forgetting the name of it. It's a CM-6M tactical gas mask, because they also have a different one that's got the little kind of eye holes on it. That's more designed for being able to shoot a rifle with a scope on it. But so we're going to talk about some of the features you want to think about. First of all, and by the way, I've got some notes here. It's what I keep looking down, because I don't want to appear like a total doofus and tell you anything wrong. So you want a good facial seal. And unfortunately, Paul Bunyan, that might mean the face fuzz has got to go. Even something as really as sparse as my little raggedy beard thing going on here could interfere with the seal, because you want a good seal. Now, if you'll notice this one, it has a really good seal all the way around here. It's like an inner seal, so it's not just rubber. It's got actually like a little flange that seals really good against your face. And this thing does seal really good. I notice if I get it too far back here, this hair right here kind of is the only place I can find any kind of a little issue. But you want a good seal. They recommend actually keeping a razor in your kit, just in case, if you've got to have it, you might want to lose the whiskers, right? Also, See, I'm wearing glasses. Can't wear glasses with a gas mask because this earpiece here breaks that seal. It just does. So 3M makes a kit that can go in here that is prescription lenses that fit inside here. It's a glasses kit, so you can use that, or you can wear contacts. But no glasses, right? Something you need to know about. It's important. Also, you might want to consider the filter life. Different filters have different lifespans depending upon what contaminants you're filtering, the concentration level of those contaminants in the atmosphere. So this thing might last a lot longer with one contaminant than with another, whatever. That's all filters. It doesn't matter. You'll see filters labeled CBRN, which is typically what you want. And those are chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear. That's what that stands for. And I didn't know what the difference between radiological and nuclear would be, so I looked it up, and basically there's not much difference. It's just that nuclear means there's been an actual explosion. There's been a nuclear explosion, and radiological just means there's some sort of a radioactive event, a radiological event. So whether that's chemicals or there's radiological chemicals or whatever. Anyway, CBRN protects against everything. That's what you want. That's what you want. Okay. You want impact-resistant face shield or lenses because, again, especially for like a riot or something like that, things get thrown. People are throwing batteries, or throwing cans, or throwing all kinds of stuff, throwing rocks. And even if you're not in a riot, even if you're wearing this because you're in some kind of environment, you trip and fall. You don't want this thing breaking and losing its integrity, because then you're going to be breathing the bad stuff, right? You need to think about if you plan on using this and you're going to be shooting a firearm with a scope, like a shoulder-mounted rifle, then this is probably not the best model. The model they have with the 2 little goggle holes on it, and I'll put the link to that down below. You can go to their website and you can see all this stuff. It gives you a little better chance of getting a cheek weld, because this is going to kind of be in your way of getting if you're tucked down into a stock. This kind of hard right here will be in your way. You can kind of angle it out a little bit, and it'll work, but you're not going to be able to get as good a weld with that, as good a cheek weld or shoulder mount. So you want to think about that. And then finally, 2 more things about the filters. First of all, different filters do different things. CBRN is going to cover everything pretty much. Some are better than others. But the other thing you really want to know about, and it's really important, no matter what kind of filter you have the best filter on the market. And if there's no oxygen in the air, you got to have at least 19-point-something% oxygen. Just call it 19% to be safe, to breathe. If you don't have 19% oxygen in the environment, you're not going to live very long. That's just the way it is. You'll start suffering oxygen deprivation, and you'll get dizzy, get giddy, and you'll pass out and you'll die. So no gas mask can provide that. If it doesn't have a tank, like a scuba tank or a SCBA tank, which is what the firefighters use, then it's not going to be providing air to you, right? It's going to be bringing air in from the environment you're in. So there's no oxygen in that environment. You're not going to have any oxygen to breathe. So anyway, enough said. You got to have oxygen. So like in a fire, this thing's not going to provide you with oxygen. One of the filters we're going to look at in a minute will give you a little more time to get out, because it converts carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide, but it still doesn't create oxygen. So there's that. Now, so that's pretty much all the basics. I want to talk about this mask specifically, a couple of tips on different things I've learned about this mask, and then we'll talk about another really great addition to this that would be helpful for a lot of people. Talk about the filters real quick and wrap this up. So first of all, I'm taking my glasses off. We're going in. So let's talk about this. And I'm not going to go over all the specs of this, because between you and me, I shot this video once and did all that, and it was like 40 minutes long. We're not doing that. So if you want to know all the specs of this, look it up on their website. They've got all the science, all the details, all the boring stuff, okay? I'm just going to give you the highlights. This thing has a 20-year shelf life, okay? It's compatible with the spectacle kit. This mask, by the way, is made in the Czech Republic, so it's quality stuff, and it's trusted by police and government agencies all over the place. A couple things you need to think about. Whatever mask you buy, and this is a real good one. By the way, the price on this was $220, $240 with the drinking kit. You want the drinking kit. Trust me, okay? It's another $20. It's well worth it. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what's really important is you want to make sure you get 40mm standard NATO thread filters, because that's going to mean you have the most options to get the best modern, safe filters because it's NATO, it's kind of a NATO standard. So you want 40 millimeter NATO standard threads on them. That's real important. A good field of view. This has got a really, really good field of view. And you'll see I got this thing down here for a reason. Really wide field of view. I like this. It gives you a lot of peripheral vision, so you can see really good. The ones that are made for shooting with scopes don't have as good a peripheral vision because that lets you get a little better eye relief. But, you know, there's trade-offs and everything. So you want to make sure it's got that. You want to, if possible, you want to make sure it's got an inner seal. You see how this one's got this little inside there, that little nose cup thing? So what that little cup does, it seals off this part of your face where the air is moving in and out. And so you exhale out here, and it prevents this thing from fogging. It minimizes the fogging up here. Because if you ever been in a scuba mask or a cheap diving mask, you know it gets fogged up really easy. So if you're breathing in here, it's going to get fogged up. So this helps prevent that. Also, you want to make sure, if as much as possible, it's got a good speaking diaphragm. This one does a really good job because you want to be able to communicate with people around you, so make sure you check that out. This one has 2 ports on it from a filter. So depending on you put on whichever side, if you're right or left hand, if you do need to shoot a rifle or whatever. You want a good harness that snugs it up against your face. I'm running, my light's going down on me here. So now I'll show you a trick I learned from my friend James Yeager, that when you stage this thing in your pack or whatever, you want to have it ready to go on. If you take the harness and fold it over like backwards, right? So here's the harness, right? Fold it over like so. This is any gas mask. It doesn't have to be this one, but this one just lends itself to that pretty well because the harness design. Folds it over like so. So that does 2 things. First of all, it makes it really easy to put on, and it keeps it ready so that if you need to put this on, like all of a sudden, man, something happens, you need to put a gas mask on. You put it on right now. It's on. It's protecting you right now. Before you even strap it. While you're strapping it, you're already being protected. You pull it over like this. You're being protected. You get these straps right, and you pull these 2 right back here on your neck. You just kind of tighten them up. And it's on. And hopefully you can hear me pretty well. You can hear the exhale, I'm sure, because my mic's right here. Sounds a little bit like Darth Vader, but look at the light going out. So my lights in the studio are going down, so bear with me. But so there's that. You see, I got good peripheral vision, and not concerned there. It fits really good here. It's nice and comfortable, and I can breathe just fine. Now, since I've got it on, let me go ahead and show you the drinking system, because that's another thing, like I say, I recommend that you get. And I couldn't find very much information all about this drinking system on the old internet. I looked on YouTube, tried to find somebody else that did a video on it, so I could figure out how to do it, because it took me a minute. I got sort of one, but I'm going to try to do the best job I can of showing you how. So, let me take it off again. Just I said since I have it on, but now I'm taking it off again, so I'm going to show you this real quick. You see right there, that little tube right there, that little tube. That's your drinking tube, and then it connects to here. And this is a little, this is a valve. So, and what that does is, when this little valve is perpendicular to the line, it's off. When you turn it on, not only does it open the valve, but it also, watch that little tube in there. Can you see it? It pulls it out right there where you can get it in your mouth. And then turn it back. When you turn this off, it pulls it back out of the way. So that moves it over, it's in your mouth, you get a drink, and then you pull it back out of the way and close the valve. So let me show you how that works. It just connects in right up here. This little hose does. This little hose is what, about 5-6 inches long, and it's got a little metal tab here with a hole, and it just pops off of there. You got a cap that comes off of it here, and that, well, it's about to get dark, I'm sorry, that goes into the canteen. But that's how the drinking tube works. Let me put this thing on now, and we will, I'll show you how it actually works. Okay, so I got it on. I'm breathing fine. I got a canteen. It's got water in it, right? This is the part that's a little bit awkward. If I was going to wear this a lot, I think I would go ahead and invest in a Camelback kit that fits it, and there's kits that fit it, and that's actually a Type M adapter on a Camelback water bladder. So, but this will work. You can get a drink of water, and you want to be able to do that because if you get, if you have to wear this for a long time, you're going to need to stay hydrated, and you can't take it off or you're exposing yourself to the environment. So the way this works is you reach up there, you find that little rubber end, you pop it off the little tab it's on. Now, you got your canteen in one hand, your hose in the other. Pop the end of it off, or you expose that little nipple right there. See it? Pop that off. Canteen's got a little fitting on it. So then you poke that in there like so, twist it, so it goes all the way in. So it goes all the way in, I said. Now let's see. Make sure there's no kinks in this line. Let's see if I can get the drinking tube in my mouth now. I ain't getting no water. Okay, finally. Okay, so pop this back out. The taking it out is a lot easier than putting it in, I'll just say that. Put the cap back on the canteen, put it back wherever you're going to store your canteen. Put that back on and find a little tab up here and try to get it back on in place. It's a little bitty hole, but it's on there. Okay, so there's that, and it's working. So it was a slow start. I'll be honest with you, it took me, as you saw, a pretty good bit of time to get the water started through it. Once it started through, it started through. And look, admittedly, that's a really cumbersome process. But it's not nearly as cumbersome as being dehydrated or having to take your mask off and breathing toxic stuff in. So, and I think if you had, like I said, Camelback would be a lot better. Now, you know, I would like to see a bigger tube there. That tube is pretty small, and I think that's why it took so hard. I had to really kind of suck hard to get some water through it. So I like to see a bit, if there's room for improvement. If I had one suggestion, I'd say make this a bigger tube, make this drinking tube bigger. There may be reasons they don't want to or can't do that, but I would say that. But other than that, it works, and I think this thing works really well. It's comfortable, and it fits well. And like I said, the price in this thing with the drinking system is like $240. So that's pretty good, in my opinion, for something that could save your life. So there's that. Now, let's talk about another accessory, which I think is even just adds to this thing so much. That's the MB90 Papr, or Powered Air Purifying Respirator. And that's this thing right here. And just show you what that is. What it is, I mean, straight up, basically, it's just a blower, right? You put two filters on it, like so. You screw them in like so, and you gotta have two of them. And then it's just got a motor in here that pulls air through the filters, pumps it out this hose into the mask. And that's how much noise it makes. This was originally designed for the Israeli army, and they had some fancy batteries in there. They redesigned it for the civilian market to use AA batteries. 8 AA batteries gives you 12 hours of runtime on this, which is pretty stinking good. So the way that works is, you take instead of putting a filter here, you just screw this hose there on it in lieu of a filter. And then it has you can wear this like on your backpack. It's got a backpack one. You can also just hang it. They have another pouch that you can use it for, like on your drop leg or something like that. I'm going to put it on front just so you can see it. I would probably wear this on back if I was just wearing it, unless I had a pack on, then I might put it in the pack. But you put it on there, and let me tell you about the advantages of this real quick, because it's getting dark. It's crazy. I'm inside and it's getting dark, but even if you have good clean filters, it takes a little bit of effort to breathe through these things, right? You're having to suck air through the filter with your lung power. And some people have breathing issues, whether they have emphysema, they have asthma, have different things that could affect them, and just may not have enough lung power to really use a gas mask effectively for over a longer period of time. Even healthy people like you or me, over a long period of time, it's going to be more physically draining, and it's going to be more exhausting if you're having to work harder to breathe. That's just the way it is. So what this does, it removes all that. It powers air into your mask. So literally, when you put this on, you can tell a tremendous difference in the breathing. It's like you can tell when you got a gas mask on, you have to breathe, right? You have to make a little bit of effort. You're focused on your sucking the air in. When you got this on, it's just powered. The other advantage to this is it creates positive pressure in this mask, So it provides even more protection, because nothing, instead of when you're breathing on this thing, normally you're pulling negative pressure on it because you're pulling air through the filter, but it's also trying to pull air around it if it's not sealed, if that makes sense. You're creating negative pressure in here every time you breathe in. This thing creates positive pressure, which pushes out, so that it just makes it, look, common sense tells you that's going to make it a lot safer, right? It's going to, because you're not trying to pull anything in, everything's pushing out. So this really is a whole lot easier to breathe. I'm going to quit breathing. You can still hear the air coming out of the exhaust. Just blow. I can feel it on my neck. But also keeps your neck cool. But anyway, that's the PAPR. I won't belabor this point. Again, if you want to see all the specs and all the details, just go to their website. Go to survivalonpurpose.com/mask, and all their products are on there. It'll really help you. But I just want to kind of tell you what I like about this is two things. Makes it easier to breathe, and it creates a positive pressure inside the mask, which makes it safer. I promise. There's no common sense, right? And the price on that one is $399.95, so $400 or $440 with 2 of these P3 filters. So there's that. Now let's talk about the filters, and we'll wrap this sucker up, because I was trying to make this one shorter and I probably made it longer, but we'll talk about the filters. So like I said, different filters do different things. The P3 filter, which is on here, the little thin ones, that is the virus filter. And it's not a CBRN filter. It's not a chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear. It's just a biological filter. It prevents aerosol and airborne transmission of viral and bacterial threats. It's also incinerable for safe disposal after use, which is good. I like that word, incinerable. So, and they don't recommend reusing these filters, but the CDC has come out and said that, because as of like March of 2020, you know, filters are getting harder and harder to find, that you can, if it's a solid case filter, you know, it's got a case on it, you can clean the outside and you're okay. Let's see. So that's the P3 filter. Next filter I'm going to talk about is the CBRN filters. This protects against everything. Everything the P3 filter does, plus more. And it's an NBC77, and the price on this one is, oh, by the way, I didn't tell you, the price on the PR3s is 6 of them for $150. The price on the NBC77 is a 20-year shelf life, is $80. And 10% off with the coupon code and all that, you know that, right? And it filters all known CBRN agents, including radioactive iodine, standard 40 millimeter NATO threads, blah, 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 right? So there's that. And one thing I'll show you is these filters all come sealed up like this, which is cool. And then finally, the one that I think is the best bang for the buck, and I saved the best for last. I'm not going to open it either because it's sealed up, but this is the BK450. And this one is the bomb of the bomb, in my opinion, because not only is it a CBRN filter, filters all that stuff out, but it's also a smoke carbon monoxide filter. And so remember, like I said, you got to have oxygen in the environment, but one of the things that kills people in fire environments is carbon monoxide. So like a fire hood, well, that does the same thing. It helps remove carbon monoxide. It does not increase oxygen. Again, if there's no tank, you're not getting oxygen. You're not adding oxygen. But what it does, it converts carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide, so it allows you to breathe that and it won't kill you, and gives you a little more time to get out of the fire or smoke. So you don't need a dedicated fire hood. You can just have your same mask and this filter, and they'll cover not just fire, it covers everything else too. So it's not like it's only fire and you gotta have another CBRN filter. This does it all. This one is $90. So you had the mask for $240 and this for $90. That's gonna be $330. 10% off of that, so you're going to get, for about $300, you can be set up to protect yourself from almost every contaminant you might be breathing. So I think that's a pretty good deal. And like I said, they've got a lot of other stuff on their website too. And so I'm going to try to wrap this up now. I hope that this was kind of a quick overview. Like I said, we are going to do some better testing of this thing, some real testing of this thing. Let me take this off, show you. Like, I'm going to do some impact testing. If I can get a beanbag round, I'm going to shoot a beanbag round at it. I didn't tell you that, but they actually tested this thing with a beanbag round and from a 12 gauge, and it did okay at 15 feet. They beat it with a flashlight. We're going to do some impact testing on this thing, beat it up. Also going to do some, I can't get any mustard gas, but I can probably get some pepper spray. Probably gonna do some pepper spray testing. Man, I hate to even think about doing that, but we're gonna do it. So there'll be some other videos coming up. I want to give you a quick overview and introduce you to the folks at MIRA Safety, tell you about the 10% discount. I think, like I said, just you look at the news that's going on, this could be a really, really good addition to your emergency preparedness plan. Thanks again to the folks at MIRA Safety for sending me these so I can show them to you and for creating those discount codes. And as always, thank you for watching Survival on Purpose. Once again, my name is Brian. Remember, survival is not an accident, so be prepared. I'll see you next time.